Hey, this is Phil from Race City Retro, and this is my 2020 Dodge Challenger 1320. I love this car. It's a limited edition version which Dodge built from 2019 to 2023, and the 1320 is a drag race specific package. Love it. It does everything I want to do. It's a factory 11-second car. You couldn't ask for anything more. There were two things that I did not like about this car. Number one, too much orange. So in my last video, we put the stripe on it. Looks great. Came out great. Now, second problem, it's too quiet, this car. When you first start it and it's on cold start, it sounds good. But then once it idles down, man, it gets quiet. It sounds like a V6 car. Now, I know nowadays with these cars, the first thing everybody does is muffler delete, rear muffler delete, straight pipe. I don't want to go that route. It's loud, but it's obnoxious, and I don't want to be obnoxious. Yes, I know you're looking at it going, oh, he's an old man. I'm surprised he even wants to change his exhaust. No, I'm not that guy. I'm not the guy that stands out on the front lawn yelling at all the loud cars that go by. I'm 56 years old. I'm still the coolest kid on the block. But this thing is too quiet. We need to wake it up a little. I've had a bunch of these cars, and I kind of have the recipe for the perfect sounding exhaust. And what that consists of is the rear resonator delete, and we're going to do an active exhaust delete. Now, these cars have active exhaust. I believe about 2019 was the first year that started. And what happens, the reason they sound so good on cold starts, the active exhaust, which is a donut inside your tailpipe, is an open position, kind of like a washer. Think about a full-size washer. As the car warms up, it starts to close, and it only lets the exhaust through a small hole in that washer. That's why the car quiets down so much. Z Automotive makes a bypass where it'll keep that thing open all the time, and it tricks the computer into saying, hey man, there's nothing wrong. It's working the way it should work. So you don't get a check engine light. But you get maximum volume out of the car at all times, which is great. That's what we're looking for. Now, on these cars, some people say it the right way, some people say it the wrong way. They have two mufflers before the rear end. Those are mufflers. In the back by the bumper, those are resonators. Their job basically is to quiet the car down. And that's nothing new. Chrysler was using resonators on Hemi cars in the late 60s, especially certain states. I believe California was one of them. They had a muffler before the rear end, and right by the back bumper, they had a resonator with a tip because the factory Hemi cars of the 60s were extremely loud. So it's no different than they did back then. We're going to eliminate those resonators with a set of Blast & Bob's fat pipes. I've been using Blast & Bob's products since these cars have come out. I've owned a bunch of them, and that's like my go-to mod. It's real simple to do. Anybody could do it. Today I'm going to show you how. I'm going to show you how to do it safely also, because you got to get under the back of the car. So you're going to need a set of ramps. I recommend a good set of ramps that'll hold the weight of this big girl up. Make sure they're rated for the weight of the car. Also, make sure you have somebody help you back the car up. Don't be that guy that puts the ramps down and goes, man, no one can watch me. I'm just going to slam it in reverse and hope I get it on straight. You know those funny videos where the ramps shoot out? Don't become one of those videos, man. Just grab anybody, neighbor, this and that. Just say, hey, man, watch me back this thing up. Make sure I don't back over them. Make sure I go, to the end. Tell me when to stop, because you're not going to see what you're doing back there, and you don't want to back your car over the ramps. That's a nightmare. These cars are kind of hard to jack up to, jack stand wise. Basically, in front of the rear wheels, they have donuts, like a rubber donut on each side. So it's not like the old days where you could put a jack under the rear end center and jack it up. You really can't do that with these cars. You really shouldn't do that with these cars. I believe that rear center section is mostly aluminum, and you're carrying the whole weight of the car. I mean, that's really asking for something bad to happen. So if you don't have a lift, you're a guy like me working out of his garage, I'm going to do these right in my driveway. Just get yourself a good set of ramps. And I'm going to show you the two pairs of ramps that I own, and you can decide what's going to work best for you. Other than that, you're going to need a Sawzall, which if you're a car guy, you should own a Sawzall. Sawzalls come in handy even for home repairs and stuff. You can buy a battery operated one. You could buy a plug-in one. They've come down a lot. A Sawzall used to be 150, 200 bucks. Now you can buy one about 50 bucks. Get yourself a fresh blade for your Sawzall. Don't use some lousy blade that's going to take forever to cut through. Because basically you're going to be cutting the resonators off the car, and you're going to be bolting on a pair of the Blast and Bob's Fat Pipes resonator deletes in their place. Let me show you a couple other things you're going to need to do this job correctly. Okay, let's start with the easy stuff. What you see to the right, two brand new packs of DeWalt Sawzall blades. I have a shorter length one, a longer length one, and for this particular pipe that's on these cars, it's good to use a 14 TPI, which is teeth per inch. You gotta watch when you buy Sawzall blades, because different teeth per inch blades cut different thicknesses of metal. So you don't want to have a blade that's going to burn out in 2 seconds. You want to get the right blade that's going to cut through your exhaust pipe. Now these two funny looking pairs of pliers, the worst part of this job is trying to get the hangers out of the rubber isolators. On the resonators, they have a hanger that runs through a rubber isolator. It's like a donut. If your car's older, they swell up, they dry up. You can spray them with WD-40 or something to try and help push them out. But these things are the best. You can buy these off of Amazon or eBay. And what this does, it basically pushes the exhaust hanger through the donut and out the other end. It's just two different versions I saw. I bought them both because I'm a high roller like that. And I don't know which one's going to work better on this car. That actually looks almost like a body shim. And this baby just, you'll see when we do the job, it pushes it right out with ease. I've yet to use these. I just found out about them. This is going to be the first job that I'm going to use them on. Brand new can of Rust-Oleum High Heat. And what we're going to do with that, this car has chrome factory exhaust tips. I like the look of the tips, but there's no other chrome basically on this car. They look a little goofy. So we're going to paint them satin black. They'll match the wheels better. They won't be so obnoxious with all that chrome back there. We're going to scuff them up. We're going to do satin black on the tips. Let me show you now what we're going to be installing today on my Challenger 1320 Scat Pack. Okay, so there they are. That's the Blast and Bob's Resonator Delete for a Challenger Scat Pack, Hellcat, the 1320. It's the 3-inch pipe. And if you notice, basically what these do, your factory resonators are going to sit in this area. It just deletes that area with a replacement pipe. We're going to cut the factory pipe. We're going to slide this over, clamp it down, and we're going to put the hangers back through the hangers. The ends are rounded out so you can put your stock tips, or if you have aftermarket bolt-on tips, you could put those on as well. I know there's a couple guys now making bolt-on tips for these cars. Years ago, everything had to be weld on. But that's it. Seems easy, right? And like I said, what this is going to do, it's going to turn up the volume, but it's not going to be obnoxious, man. You don't want your car straight piped with no mufflers, no resonators, unless you want to meet every policeman on your police force, the local police force, because they'll pull you over in a second. Your car will be so obnoxiously loud. Whereas this, you'll see, it's going to give it a nice rumble, the car, but it's not going to be obnoxious. All right, let me show you the second part of my recipe for a sweet, sweet sounding Dodge Challenger Scat Pack. Okay, this is the Z Automotive Active Exhaust Delete, part number 94356. I got this kit from Summit for $189. And as you'll see, once we get under there, basically it's plug and play. It takes about 5 to 10 minutes to install. You don't got to unbolt anything. It's just, like I said, plug and play. And what this consists of, that one and that one, those are going to plug into the plugs that you're taking off the motors. This, that's the electronics piece. That's what makes the car think everything's okay, don't worry about it. And by having these off, the motors automatically turn to a wide open position. So they're just going to stay there. And then this just goes in your other wire to close your other jack out. And look at that sticker. Awesome. Thank you, Z Automotive. And as far as the pipes themselves, this kit was $189. The pipes from Blast and Bob's were $159. I believe, or $157. I'm gonna put links up for both. This way, if you want to order them. This I got directly from Summit Racing. Got them to me 123, and they're made in the USA, which I love. Just like Blast and Bob's pipes are made in the USA. All right, so let's get started. Let's get this big girl up on the ramps, and I'll show you underneath what we're gonna do today. All right, so let's talk about ramps and ramp safety. Ramps are an incredible tool to have if you don't have a lift. They serve the purpose well. They get you into the car to do what you got to do. Generally, ramps are good when you're working on the front of the car between the two wheels, the back of the car between the two wheels. If you're working on the middle of the car, ramps don't do that good of a job like a set up jack stands or wheel cribs would do. I have two sets of ramps. I have the typical Rhino ramps. These you could buy in like Walmart and stuff. And I shouldn't say these are typical because a lot of people don't know Rhino ramps has two different weight classes. I believe their first set is like a 8,000 GVW, and this pair is the 16,000 GVW. Doesn't mean they hold 16,000 pounds. It means they hold a 16,000 GVW vehicle, so I'd have to assume maybe they're safe for half of that, 6,000 to 8,000 pounds. So I'm never putting anything that heavy on them, but these are good if you have like an SUV or something where you're just doing oil changes on it. The one bad part about these ramps, and a lot of guys don't even realize it, and here's where they get into trouble. If you're working on a garage floor, it's kind of slippery. These ramps are made of hard plastic, so they don't really bite into the ground. And you know all those funny videos with the car flying off the ramps and stuff, the ramp sliding under the tire and stuff like that? That's because they don't grip to the ground. If you flip one of these babies over, let's flip one over, you'll see it's all plastic, all plastic, all plastic. And they have one little rubber pad. That's what grips you. That's it. Because if you took this out, you'd have nothing but shiny, smooth plastic. So the minute the car starts to torque up, whether you're pulling up it, pulling down it, it wants to move. So just remember that. You always approach slow, go up slow, have somebody watch you. These ramps work great on concrete, not on a smooth garage floor. Now, my race ramps, they're expensive. I don't remember what they cost me, but afterwards I said to myself, you just paid how much for those ramps? If you look at the two, they're a tick higher than the Rhino ramps, so they're going to get you a little higher. But I bought these for when I do oil changes on my Subaru WRX because of that long approach. These work great with a lowered car. They also work great with any car because that low approach, you're not coming up that high incline where you got to really let it fly up. These you can back up nice and slow. And if you look at the texture on these, it's kind of like, hear it? It's like a piece of sandpaper. So these, see how good they grip to the ground? You don't get that slide because the bottom has that on it. And these have a 1,500 pound max each ramp. So that means 3,000 pounds. So generally, if you're lifting one half of your car, and your car's a 4,000 pound car, you're lifting 2 to 2,500, depending on if it's the engine half or the back half. So that'll tell you what these hold. You can't go super heavy with these because these are like some polymer styrofoam. They're light, but they're strong. These are like, and they're a tick higher than those, so they're going to get you up a little higher. I'll post them with the Summit ad. I don't know. I think maybe they were like $250 or so. But you could find them used too. Go on your local Facebook. A lot of guys buy them for a certain car. They get rid of the car. Then they sell the ramps. All right, so here's your cold start. This is when this car is at its absolute loudest. It only lasts for a couple seconds unless you're in drag mode. Then it opens the pipes up. But you can't drive around in drag mode all day. It's not good for the car. But here's what it's going to sound like in cold start mode. After this, you'll see it quiets right down. It sounds pretty good, but it's just not enough. Because you'll see in a couple seconds it's going to idle down and quiet down. We're going to get it to sound a little better. We're going to get rid of those chrome pipes sticking out. I don't like the chrome because there's nothing else chrome on the car. All the trim is black, satin black, so we're going to make the pipes match the trim. See, it's starting to idle down now, so it's going to quiet down now. Right now, those flaps are closing, and then it's going to run through them through a little tiny hole, which takes a lot of noise out. But when you drive it around easy, it sounds like a V6 Challenger. When you're in it, it sounds good. It gets a nice roar to it, but you really got to be in it to hear the volume. I like a little more volume at idle. See how quiet it just got? That means those things are closed up now. See that? It just goes away. All the rumble goes away. We're gonna fix that. That's a major problem. The stripe is one part of it. Too much orange. Looks good with the stripe now. Let's get this exhaust. I'm gonna pull this baby out, turn it around, and we'll get it taken care of. All right, so I got this big girl up on the ramps. I changed my mind. I figured I'm going to work on the driveway today. It's such a beautiful day. No sense in being in the garage. So you may get a little background noise, but I'll make sure you need to see everything you need to see. Love the race ramps. Also, don't forget, put your emergency brake on. And I always like to put a wheel chock. Chock-a-con. Got my wheel chock under there, so she's chocked, safe. Might even see me put a jack stand under there. I'm that guy. But stripes in, if you want to see the stripe video, it's on our YouTube channel, how to install vinyl. And she's up. See, you got a nice good height under there where you can do what you got to do. Let's go over what we're going to need to get this job done. Okay, here's my table full of tools. This is what we're going to basically need to install the Resonator deletes on this car today. The Z Automotive Active Exhaust Delete, that's nothing but your hands. It's just a simple plug and play. But I've got my good gloves. You need a couple sockets. I believe it's a 13 and 15 millimeter. Some WD-40. If the rubber hangers are dry, we're going to spray it. The rubber hanger tools, don't know which one's going to work good, but I'm going to try them both. I have two Sawzalls. I have a power one and I have a battery one. The battery one's a tick smaller. I may use that one because it gets into some tight places a little easier. I got fresh blades, and I got high heat paint because we're going to paint those chrome tips satin black. Alrighty, and that's it. And we got the Reso deletes and a magic marker because we're going to mark where we're going to cut. Now, he gives you instructions with some measurements and dimensions, and this, I like to take the pipe under there, hold it up, and measure myself. I don't trust measurements. You got different years on these cars, different models. Sometimes the pipes are a little different. If you don't want to cut, if you cut too much off, then you're out of luck, man. You got to run to the exhaust shop and have some pipe put back on. So it's always better to cut them a little longer. You could always cut a little more off. You don't want to cut them too much because then you're going to have a major issue. Your pipes are going to be too short. All right, let's crawl under there and have a look. All right, so also take notice these things do have a left and a right. Naturally, the pipe hangers are going to be on the top. So that's your driver's side, that's your passenger side. I also got my All-Star track mat for laying under the car. Just makes it a little more comfortable. Let's get under there and see how these babies are going to fit. See where we got to cut. Okay, so here's what we're going to remove. This is your resonator. And this resonator delete is going to go in the place of that. Now, before we measure for the cut, there's something else I want to talk about, the factory tips. Normally these have a tack weld on them. If you look at this one, this guy must have been mad at his wife or something that day because he put a 2-inch weld on it. Now some guys will do these videos and they say, hey, you just pull on this thing, it breaks the weld. Guess what? That weld's not breaking. You got to take this whole setup off the car, grind that, because this clamp is what holds your tip on. and you need to reuse that clamp to hold your tip on the new pipes. Now also, if you look up in there, see that bolt? That's a 13mm bolt. That holds the hanger. So what I'll do is I'll make the cut first, let everything droop, then I take that bolt out and it comes down. And when it comes down, then we could pull it off the rubber hanger. It's a lot easier when you're doing it, you know, in front of you. Just take pictures of all this stuff if you've never done it before, so you know how it goes back together. Your camera's a great tool when you're doing a job like this. All right, so now when it comes time to measuring the cut, what I'll do is I like to hold this up to it. If you see this bulge, it's the same as here. That's where your tip is gonna go. This is gonna go in your rubber hanger. So we're gonna line this up in that general vicinity. And that shows me that it's gonna end about there. So now you're gonna hold this with one hand. Look at it a couple times, don't rush. Get it where you think it's gonna sit. So now, I don't wanna cut here. See what this is? I wanna cut like, this is all straight. I gotta cut about right here. Now, when you're doing this, all right, you're gonna put a line. Whoop, good line, yeah, nice and straight. You're gonna put a line, and before you start cutting, look at what's behind. Anything back here, so you got some lines and stuff. If you're using a Sawzall with a big, you know, 9-inch long blade in it, make sure you're not gonna hit none of this stuff. Keep a shorter blade. You can start here and just go straight down. All right, we'll come right back. Once I make that cut, I'll show you how to take the whole thing down. All right, wish me luck. I'm gonna suit up, put my gloves on, put my face shield on, and I'm gonna just make a straight cut. If you want to put tape too, you could wrap this with a line of tape. It'll give you a better guide if you're not familiar with a Sawzall. But if I cut it there, see, when I hold this up, it gives me some good, that much to go into the pipe. You don't want it where you're going to cut it here and you're going to have an inch. You know, make sure this clamp is up too, so you could see exactly where you're going to be. See what I'm saying? So we're going to have like 4 inches in. If you're comfortable with that, go a little further. We can go right there too. You know, because you could always, if you put this in and it doesn't fit good, you could always trim another inch off. If you cut this thing here and you put it in and there's nothing to grab it to, you can't put that back. You know, you'd have to go to the exhaust shop, have a sleeve welded on, have this put on. These you don't need to weld. These, once you tighten the clamps, that's it. They lock down, you're done. And what I'm going to do too, I'll probably reverse these clamps like that. Let's see. See that? So that I could tighten them right from here. But if I look at this again, I'm lining it up, putting that on the turn. You go there. You know what? I'm going to go there. I think I feel a little more comfortable. Just bring it down a tick more. All right, let me make this cut, and then we'll see how I did. Put this to the side. Okay, I'll be right back. All right, let's give this a try. And like I said, watch what's behind you. I'm gonna keep this thing back a little. Okay, and that's why you use a new blade. See how easy that was? And that's why you use a new blade. Okay, not too bad, right? All right, so now you can see this thing dropped. Let me back this out a little. This thing dropped now because of the cut, and when you look up, you can see that bolt right there. That's the hanger that's holding this whole thing up right now. All right, so what I'm going to do is zip that out, and then this resonator is going to come down. It's going to be out of the car. All right, let's back this up so I don't take my camera out in the process. And this is just a 13mm. I'm going to put it on my regular impact. Let's get this thing out of the way. Nope, lefty loosey. Always break loose first. It's a little easier. And don't do this with the car hot. Right now you'd be screaming. Okay. All right, there we go. So there's your hanger. This piece has to come out of here. We reuse this with the new ones. We'll bolt it right back up. But we're gonna use my tool to get this out. We're gonna see how good that new tool works that I got. All right, let's give that thing a try. Okay, so even though I got the tool, I'm gonna still spray this thing a little with some WD. Because over time, those things swell up. You don't have to take the top out. You can leave these two in because we're reusing those. But the bottom, the new Reso Delete, is gonna use that bottom hole. All right, so let's see. See how good this thing works. Because pulling these out, man, ooh, it's a nightmare half the time. All right, see that side's it's getting close. Wow, awesome. That was too easy. There you go. Amazon, $7. All right, look at that. Now, we're gonna bolt this back on the car. Looks like you can only put this on one way because it's got a tab that's going to go up into the body. You probably see a wear pattern too, but like I said, it's always a good idea to take pictures if you haven't done this before to make sure you put the thing back on right. But like I said, I'm pretty sure there's only one way you can put it on with that tab there. They'll be right next to the bolt hole. That's why they do that. So going down the assembly line, everything gets done once. All right, so these tips, we need to loosen up that clamp, but look at the size of that weld. That's supposed to be a little spot weld on there to hold that clamp on. Man, that guy went to town on that thing. And what's funny is you'll go on the other side of the car, there'll be a little 1/4-inch weld on the other side of the car. So I need to grind that. I'm not gonna film the grinding. I'm gonna break that clamp loose, which in turn will get my currently chrome, soon to be satin black, tip off the back. This way I can paint those up and reuse the factory tips. Just no more chrome for those. All right, let me grind this and I'll be right back. Now, before you start grinding or chiseling or however you're gonna take this tip off, loosen it up. It takes the same 13mm that the top bracket took. Make it nice and loose because sometimes you can break it by hand, but this ain't gonna be one of those times. He really put that baby on there good. All right, let me get my grinder and I'm gonna grind that thing off. Okay, so I used my grinder. I went along the seam of the weld to break the clamp loose. The tip will come out once the clamp is loosened. It's the clamp that you need to reuse. So, and what you can do too is stick something in there and tap it gently to break it loose. You don't want to go too crazy, use nothing too violent. Generally a tiny hammer and a tiny chisel works great. That works even better. The way I like to do this, if you put the clamp back up first, this piece, it may work okay, but you may have an issue. You can put this on the new Resonator Delete and then put it up. But the way I like to do it, let's give it a try. We're gonna put this on the pipe, see how we did here, and make sure this clamp is pretty loose. There it is. You see this pipe too, it's slotted, so you got a little room for it to stretch. If you have a lot of material on where you made your cut, you might want to take some emery cloth or a file and knock that down, because you'll have problems then putting this pipe over it if it's got like a big ridge or something. All right, so let's see how we're doing here. Okay, what I did, I opened up the seam on this because it was having a rough time getting on. Pulled it open, it got a little dinged, I guess, in the box. Now it went right on, no issues. And what I also did, let's turn this. The clamp, it's on the hanger. Let me just bend this down, one sec. Let's tilt this up. Because I just want you to see this. Remember we talked about it before. Now this hanger has a tab with the hole. There's the tab and there's the hole. That's where the bolt goes back in. So it's kind of hard to mess it up. All right, see the tab in the hole? All right, so we're not putting any clamps on yet. We got to leave everything nice and loose, but let's see if I can get this hanger started, because that you could put into place because that basically gets bolted in and stays there, but you're going to want to leave the pipe loose till you get your tips back on and everything else. All right, so let's... Okay, so I like to take these clamps apart and put a lock washer on them so that you don't lose your clamping power. You know, a lot of times you guys put stuff like this on, then they get an exhaust leak. They blame everybody but the clamp. They don't give you a lock washer, they give you a flat washer. Come on, blasting bobs, put some lock washers on these things so they don't back off. All right, there we go. All right, and we're not gonna tighten this up yet. Here's why. We're still gonna have to align things. This is in the hanger, which I bolted the hanger in, but I wanna make sure everything's cool with the tip before we lock it all down. So once I have the tip ready after I paint them, I can reinstall the tips, we can position the tips, and we could position the clamps and lock everything down, make sure the tips are straight. All right, let me go cut the other side, do all that, and then I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna do to the tips. Be right back. All right, I'm gonna start the other side. Let me lift my face mask here. And I made my mark, measured it up. Be careful, see this stuff up here, these wires. Watch your sawzall. There's some other stuff back here. Make sure you don't cut through any of that stuff. You'll have a tow truck trip to the dealership. Tow truck trip to the dealership. Keep it out of your way. Start your blade here, going down. You should be okay. Just go nice and slow, man. This ain't a race. Go nice and slow. All right, and this side's gonna be basically the same thing. I'm gonna make the cut. I'm gonna unbolt the hanger, take this side down, break the tip off, put the new one on, loosely put the clamp on, and then I'm gonna show you how we're gonna paint the tips. But I wanted to show you guys on this side, this stuff. Be careful, push it up out of the way. And back here, you got a couple lines too. Make sure you don't hit any of those. Keep your sawzall close if you're running a long blade. All right, wish me luck, man, wish me luck. Oh, I hear sirens. Hopefully that's not for me. Be right back. All right, so I got the passenger side off, and you'll notice on this side has a ground strap. And it's pretty simple. You're just gonna reuse this on the new hanger. You don't even have to disconnect this top. You could leave it be. And the bottom piece, it just pinches on the hanger, okay? Now, let's use our tool again. Spray a little in. Oh yeah, watch this baby. Oh, doing this one-handed. Look at that, one-handed. Nice. All right, so now this tip, same as the other. I gotta get the clamp off. Well, that weld's a little shorter, but man, it's a lot heavier. So I gotta grind that off, break the clamp loose, take the tip off. Look at the cobwebs on this car. You think I drive it a lot? It's a 2020, it's got 3,800 miles on it. 3,800, not 1,000. All right, let me get to grinding. Stay tuned. All right, so moving right along here, we got the driver's side on. It's loose, the clamp. We swapped our washer over to a lock washer. Cut the passenger side, got that on. Same thing. Swapped the lock washer over on the clamp. Up here, put the hanger back. Clamp that ground wire on just onto the new hanger. It stays on the top. That's like a radio suppression wire. But just make sure you clamp that back on. Grounds are always good to have. You don't want to mess with any of your grounds. All right, so next I'm going to paint the tips. While the tips are drying, I'm going to do the active exhaust delete. All right, let's get these tips going. Okay, so here are the factory tips. I mean, these are nice pieces. They're stainless steel. Nothing wrong with them. I just don't like that chrome sticking out of the valance or valance, depending on, or valance, depending on wherever you're from. So what I'm going to do, first I'm going to clean these down with some wax and grease remover, get all that oil and stuff off them from the penetrating oil. Then I'm going to scuff these with a Scotch-Brite pad, and then we're going to put some paint on them. And while these things are drying, I'll do the active exhaust delete on the car. By then, these should be dry because I'm going to put them out in the sun, let them cook real good. All right, let me clean them and scuff. What I'm going to use to clean these things is some Summit wax and grease remover. And the reason you want to clean them real good before you even scuff them, oil is your worst enemy when you paint, unless you like fish eyes in your paint. Paint work is 90% prep, 10% paint. This is Summit wax and grease remover. It's not exactly cheap. I think it's like 40, 50 bucks a gallon, but man, saves you a lot of work. Wash the areas down you're going to paint, and how you do this, it's a two-part process. Do one thing with the wax and grease on it, splash it on good, and then you don't let it dry. You take a second clean paper towel and dry it with that. I mean, look how clean that thing comes out. That hasn't been that clean since it was brand new. All right, and we're still going to scuff these, because anytime you paint, the paint's got to have something to bite onto. You can't paint smooth items. The paint don't stick. When you see paint chipping, bad prep. Do the prep right, your paint will last for a long, long time. All right, let's hit this one now. All new paper towels. Don't keep using the same paper towel. I see some of these big name guys on TV. They clean their parts with Pine Sol, and then they complain when they get fish eyes. I don't want to name no names, but pretty famous guy using Pine Sol, window cleaner. I mean, you could use some glass cleaner, but nothing like wax and grease remover. It takes everything off, especially, you don't know if these tips have been waxed. You get some crazy guys that like to clean stuff. It's my second now clean paper towel. All right, we're gonna stand those up. We're not gonna touch them with our hands where we're painting anymore. We're gonna put rubber gloves on, because your fingers have oil. Your skin is naturally oily, so if you go touching all over, you're going to put oil on your surface you just prepped. After I scuff them, though, I'm going to wash them again, because then when I sand them, I'm handling them as well. Even though I have gloves on, I'm still going to wash them again before I paint them. All right, let me scuff them, wash them again, and I'll get them ready for paint. All right, so I got them scuffed. I used a green Scotch-Brite pad to scuff them. You don't want to use anything too abrasive. You don't want to scratch them all up. Wash them again. I put them on a little cardboard. I'm going to put one light coat and then one heavy coat of the Krylon that I picked out. High heat, because this challenge is hot stuff. You need the high heat ultra. I didn't get regular. I got ultra. Long lasting finish. And this is a semi-gloss black, so hopefully it won't be too shiny. I'm looking for a, you know, like not flat black, just like a satiny type finish. So I got my gloves on. I'm going to grab my respirator, so I'm going to paint with the camera off, because you're not going to understand me once I put my respirator on. Give these things a coat, second coat, put them out in the sun to dry. All right, now here comes phase 2 of the installation of the best sounding Scat Pack exhaust system. This is your active exhaust delete. Basically, you have 2 active exhaust flapper valves under there with little motors on them with electric wires. Once I get the camera under there, I'll show you that. You're going to unplug, it doesn't matter what side, according to Z Automotive. Plug this main one in, then you're going to unplug the opposite side, plug this secondary one in. These 2 just go in the active exhaust valves that are on the pipes. I'm assuming that's just to keep water out of them, and just, if you ever want to go back to active exhaust, you can. You just unplug this system. There's no tune or anything that you have to do with this. It's basically a 5-minute plug and play. All right, so let's get this thing popped in. Okay, so that thing there, this thing here, that's your active exhaust valve. Goes through here to the flapper. This activates it. The nice thing about this kit, other kits, you got to unbolt all this stuff. There's a spring you got to take out, this, that, and the other thing. This kit, we're just unplugging this top. So let's go into this thing. Give it a wiggle. There you go. Okay. So now, on the first one, And it doesn't matter what side. They're saying you plug this. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me get my hands around here. You plug this into that. Yeah, that's the way it's going to go. And see, this is like a nice weather-tight connection. Does that work, or is it that way? Oh, no, it's that way. It only goes in one way. All right, so there's your first one. And now what you're going to do with the active exhaust valve, we're going to stick this in here. I'm thinking it goes exactly like that other one came out with a notch on this side. You'll hear it. Oh, there it goes. It clicked. Okay, so now with this gray, you can kind of see when you take the other one off. That goes up first, and then it wiggles out. All right, so now this one's here. We can't just leave this dangling because you got exhaust right here. So I'm going to look for a place, probably the exhaust hanger back here, and zip tie it up to that. Let's put that right there. All right, so this thing's got a neat little loop on it that I took a wire tie, ran it through the rubber hanger, crimped it down real tight. So this way that's up. This thing's clicked in good, make sure of that. And the first side's done. We got the plug in the hanger. Now on the other side, I just got to disconnect it, plug the wire, plug the motor, and that's done. Boy, when they say plug and play, they're not kidding. This whole job is going to take about 5 minutes. Let's get to the other side. Okay, so here's the other side. I unplugged the wire. I plugged in that plug to the wire, zip tied it to the motor itself, and I put the protection plug back in the motor. There's really no place above this thing to zip tie it to. You got some fuel line there and stuff. I didn't want to zip tie something electric to fuel line. So the motor itself is fine, does not move, does not go anywhere. It's got a little slack in the wire if the exhaust system moves. And that's all right, it. So there's our tips all dried up. Look good, right? Much better in the flat black. The Rust-Oleum High Heat Ultra. Very nice finish. 2 coats, let them bake in the sun. So now I'm going to put these on the car, but then we're going to adjust everything. This way, make sure the tips are good, and then we'll tighten everything up for a final tighten. Then you're going to hear it start. Finally. All this work. Better sound good. There we go. Tips are on. Let's get down and dirty. Now, before you fire it up, just go through a checklist. Make sure your tips are tight. Make sure your hangers are tight. Make sure your back clamps are tight. Both sides. Double check. Clamps. Oh, tips look so much better in that color, doesn't it? Instead of the chrome. Now, also, don't forget, we did the active exhaust on this thing. So I got all my pieces zip tied up. I trimmed my zip ties because I'm the guy, I would lose sleep at night knowing I had long zip ties hanging under my car. I'm that guy. So she's ready to fire up. You're going to hear the first cold start fire up with Z Automotive, active exhaust delete and Blastin' Bob's Resonator delete. All right, let's hit the remote start. First cold start with the Blastin' Bob's Reso deletes and the Z Automotive active exhaust delete. Here we go. Sounds good. See, it's a tick louder, but it's not obnoxious like a straight pipe. Definitely hear the volume difference, though, without a doubt. You compare this to the first video we shot, you'll definitely hear a difference, because I do immediately. I'm going to take it out and drive it now, make sure there's no rattles or anything weird going on, and I think then we'll be good to go. I want to thank you guys for tuning in today. Be sure to check out our website. Be sure to subscribe for more content. Subscribe to our channel. Share this to a buddy. Check out our website at racecityretro.com. Sounds nice now. Now it sounds like a Hemi. All right, it's a beautiful day. I'm going to go take this thing out for a ride. Burn some fuel, guys. Take care. Stay safe. Thanks for coming by.